Always a good morning to be a Pirate, right? So, just starting with Saturday, I think the word I go back to, and I told our football team this morning, is energy. And the energy for me started at the Pirate Walk. It's obviously just the fourth one I've been a part of, but the energy just on that walk and just the fans and the fan base was awesome. It's obviously, we've moved that back a little bit this year. We're 2 hours and 5 minutes right before kickoff. Just moved it back a little bit so we can have more fan engagement and fans can get out there right before tailgate and get a chance to see our players as they're walking in. And the other space we walking through now is where the Scales Fieldhouse used to stand, is a green space now. If you haven't seen that, it's definitely worth checking out. It's a turf area that the administration has turfed and has a tent under there and drink sales under there, big screen TV up, probably a 10-foot TV with games playing. Just a really cool atmosphere for, to catch the Pirate Walk or just to kind of tailgate and hang out as an area before the game. Thought that was a really neat addition to game day. And then I looked over and, the tailgating area was all packed out. And then the student tailgate area over there in Treasure Island, just the DJ was a big hit. And just want to say a huge thank you to Sup Dogs and Brett again for bringing those students out. And then those students to thank you to packing out the Boneyard. I think we gave out 11,000 student tickets almost or wristbands. And that's just a huge deal for us and their support. So thank you to those folks. And then the energy in Dowdy-Ficklin. And you guys felt it, and our players certainly felt it. Was really, really good, and just the atmosphere we create and making this place special. So thank you to those folks, and thank you to our administration who continues to make the fan experience in Dowdy-Ficklin for game day pretty special. Our fan base, we sold out our ticket allotment up in Raleigh, and we had a great experience here this weekend. And then we've got our ticket allotment sold out in Myrtle Beach. So thank you to the fans that continue to support us and follow us along, and our players really appreciate it, and we'll continue to do our part with that. So, it was the thing that I was most happy about Saturday was the fact it was a team win. We talk about it takes everybody, and really, we just talked about the Dowdy-Ficklin and the energy we create in there, and that takes everybody. Well, with our team win Saturday, it was the same thing. It took everybody, off the field and on the field. And I think we had 15 different guys catch a football. We had almost 85 players on the field. We put out our third down predator package out there, and it looks like a hockey change, or the field goal team's out there, and it looks like 10 guys coming on. So just happy with how those guys, bought into the team part of it, and I thought we responded the way we should. We did the things we focused on in practice all week: start fast, urgency, attention to detail, and we went out and did that. So we'll continue to do that and continue to focus on our culture and continue to build that, playing with great effort, playing with great energy, being disciplined, and execution, which we still got to clean up in some parts. I was happy with our decision-making and taking care of the football. I think Caden Hauser really continues to show you why he's one of the best quarterbacks in this league. Continues to make good decisions. Still got a few in there he can clean up, but just really proud of him and the way he's going about his business. Brock Spalding made some big plays again Saturday. Then Javante Connor continues to show up and show you why he's a valuable tight end. Defensively, I think Preston Carr had a big fumble recovery in the game there and did some good things up front for us. Tamir Brown started the game, and I thought was solid out wide at corner. Kendrick DeJour playing off the edge, starting to flash a little bit, is a name we hadn't heard much of. And then a freshman that got in the game a little bit toward the end, I think is going to be a really good player for us this year, is Jordan Miles, playing a little linebacker out of Huntsville, Alabama. Then in the return game, I thought Kyler Pearson, just adds a little spark back there. We got to do a better job of being penalty free on that unit. But you can see him just catching the football, getting some yardage there, and getting our offense in good situation there was pretty positive. So all in all, I thought those were some good things that we did on Saturday. Obviously, I told our football team just a few minutes ago at practice, we got to go attack this week with the same urgency. I said if we don't get any better, we're in trouble. We got a long ways to go. Some of the things I think we got to clean up from Saturday is still our penalties. Had 10 penalties and just foolish stuff, pre-snap, post-snap penalties. Our tackling still not great. I think we got to do a better job getting our feet to contact, keeping our eyes up, and then running the football. I think that's the big one offensively. I know we had a bunch of yards offensively running the football, but to me most of those were later in the game. We got to do a better job early in the game. And some of that is too. Now Caden was spitting the ball out, taking what the defense gave him, but we got to make sure we can move people off the ball. Defensively, we had them backed up inside the 10-yard line and let them go on a 19-play drive. I think there was a couple third downs in there. We let them off the hook. Anytime we got an opponent backed up inside the 10-yard line, that's an opportunity for us to get a 3-and-out and get the ball back to our offense, which equals points. Anytime you can get the ball back to your offense on your side of the 50, you should get points out of that. And we let them off the hook down there, and then a couple of third downs. I think missed a tackle on a third down, had a kid in the flat, and they just didn't play well. I thought we had a few penalties on that that led to the field goal. So we got to do a better job on that drive, all in all. So those are things we got to clean up and just continue to every single day come to work with urgency, intent, and go at it. And Sunday's our day off now. Just thought, we changed that up this year. Sundays is a chance for our players to kind of, if they got family in town, spend time with their family. If they want to go to church, they don't have anything that day except check in with the trainer and make sure they're healthy. So it's a day to refresh, and then we got a chance to get back after it this morning, and it was nice to be out there with those guys. So we turned all our attention to our opponent in Coastal. And, Coastal Carolina's coming off a win as well. We faced these guys a couple years ago in the bowl game, but a lot's changed since then. They're their new head coach, Tim Beck. Coach Beck is in his third year at Coastal Carolina. He's been to, first year won 8 games. Last year took him to a bowl game as well. He was also the offense coordinator at NC State back in 2022 when we played them here. So excited about the matchup. A regional game, be our third regional game of the year, and just an opportunity for our fan base again to travel. So expecting a really good atmosphere down there. Expecting it to be sold out. Offensively, they're going to remind you of kind of a Mike Leach offense. Their offense coordinator is Drew Hollenshed. He was with Mike Leach at Washington State and Mississippi State. He was previously the offense coordinator at Western Kentucky. So he's going to spread it out and do some Mike Leach type stuff. Although as you say that, they ran the ball for 263 yards this past weekend, which is a little bit, you think of Mike Leach as an air raid guy, but he also liked to run the football as well. The two quarterbacks they used this past week was M.J. Morris. M.J. Morris and Tad Hudson are the two they used, both 4-star kids out of high school. M.J. started his career at NC State, transferred to Maryland after that, and was the starting quarterback game 1 this year for Coastal. And then Tad Hudson came in later in the game and kind of finished the game off for him. Tad started he's a Charlotte native, started his career at North Carolina, and just transferred to Coastal last year. So you're going to see a lot of 3-by-1 open sets. If they're getting some 20 personnel with 2 backs back there, that's kind of where they like to run the football out of. Defensively, they got a new defense coordinator, Jeremiah Johnson. Known Jeremiah for a long time. He's a base quarters guy, but he's kind of shifted a little bit to more of a 3-high safety, kind of like ODU, more of an Okie front, 2 5s, 3 down front. We'll see some quarters, some trap coverage the boundary, and he'll use that middle safety kind of come downhill and fit a lot. And on third down, you'll see a little bit of 4 down defense for him. Defensively, I think the guy that stands out to me is kind of their defensive end, Zeke Campbell. He's from Marietta, Georgia. Actually started his career at Lenore Ryan. Was at La Tech with Coach Johnson last year, and came to Coastal. So certainly focus on our opponent this week. Certainly going to get prepared for them and what they do. Offensively, there'll be some carryover a little bit. Defensively, it'll be a lot of new things. I think Coach Baker's spent a lot of time, probably more on this. You spend time in the summer on your first few opponents. You probably spent more time on this defense just because it's a little bit out of the ordinary, much like offensively. If you're facing an Army offense, a little bit out of the ordinary. So he spent more probably on this game than some others. But the real focus is on us and how we go about our preparation, how we do things. We talk to our players all the time. It's not what we do, but how we do it. So we got to make sure we attack the same mindset we did last week and the same mindset to get better every single day and see how much we can improve this week. So at this time, I'll open it up for questions.
Coach, you guys have won the toss the first 2 weeks, first game defer as a defensive guy. I'm sure you can receive this week. Is that something that changes week to week, depending on what your mindset is?
Yeah, I think every week your game plan is going to change and things are going to change in there. We always want to be aggressive how we approach things and whatever gives us the best chance to win. I thought week 1, just like the bowl game, deferring, taking the ball in the second half, and we really did have a chance. If you think at the end of the half of that game to win the middle 8, we missed a field goal, come out in the second half, we get stopped on 4th down. And then this week, we took the ball first, got up to an early lead, and then kind of go from there. And we actually won the middle 8 again. So it kind of works out. Just whatever we think is going to give us the best chance to win, that's how we're going to attack it and always be aggressive, whether it's 4th downs, whether it's special teams, wherever it may be.
Coach, this past game, a lot of early 12 personnel, and you
Yeah.
mentioned in that tight end room early, guys like Mason Taylor getting some burn and blocking. On the perimeter, is anybody really stepping up to be those lead blocking tight ends, or is that just
Yeah. Yeah, it was good to see Mason Brown in there and making some plays and coming. You know, he's a big body and covering guys up and doing a good job in there and gives us kind of a little different approach and aspect in there. And you know, the fact we can go 12 personnel, 11 personnel, 10 personnel, we're not stuck in one personnel group, and that's, you know, personnel is like one tight end, two tight ends, no tight ends. So it kind of adds some things we can do. And I think DeCirio and JC are very versatile. They can split out wide and play in the slot, or you can bring Brock in and he can kind of simulate what a tight end may do at times. So it definitely adds to our offense. I think anytime, I talk to Coach Baker about this all the time, you know, he can do things like that. He's making it tough on our defense, the preparation they have to go through and get ready. I think defensively sometimes when, you know, hey, 11 personnel, they're only going to run this formation or that formation. 12 personnel, they're only going to do this. It kind of makes it easy for defenses. But he's doing a really good job of, you know, mixing it up, and our personnel allows that. You know, JC and Mason and DeCirio and Brock and all those guys, Peyton Mangrum, are allowing us to, you know, play multiple ways and do it different things.
Coach, when it comes to areas of improvement, we've talked about the run the last 2 weeks. What do you think the offense can do to kind of improve that or open up the run game?
Yeah, we got to get our pad level down, take good first steps. It really comes back to technique and fundamentals. I mean, move guys off the ball. You know, I'm kind of old school with that. You know, the offense I was around for the first, I don't know, 10 years of my coaching, you know, college career was the triple option, and those guys were always down the field. We never worried about RPO or anything like that. But you know, we got to move guys up front, do a better job covering them up, and move our feet a little bit. And we got better. I did think we made an improvement from week 1 to week 2. We got to continue to do that every single week and just get those guys going. And some of it's on the backs too. We got to make sure we're making the right cuts and the right vision. And we'll continue to work, you know, some inside run and some run fits in our practice. We did that again this morning. So I think every single day, that's got to be our focus in every single week. Because we know, like, if we can run the football, you know, how much more of our offense that'll open up, and we still got, you know, ways to go, and defensively too. I mean, if we can run the football in practice, that's going to make our defense better, and I think that's where it all starts on both sides of the football.
Coach, you talked about tackling a little bit. Can you improve tackling from week to week? And the second part of the question is, have you noticed that high school kids coming out as recruits don't tackle as well?
Yeah.
What's the game Friday night, man? Me or you?
Well, if they can't tackle me or you, Brian, they're in really bad shape, especially if they can't tackle me. I don't move very fast. But I think a couple things. I think, yes, you can improve your tackling every single week, and you better improve your tackling every single week, or you're in trouble. And I think, you know, it's individually, it's collective, and some of it's just effort-based. You know, if we can, me and a teammate can vice somebody up in a phone booth, we can probably get them tackled. You know, if I'm in that phone booth by myself, I might miss. So we got to do a better job of getting effort and getting 11 hats to the ball. Sometimes when you miss a tackle and there's 11 hats there, it doesn't look as bad. But I think the big thing is just focus on our fundamentals, eyes. You know, we get tired, we get lazy, we get our eyes down. We don't take the extra step. We lunge, we reach. And the old saying, you reach, I teach, those type of things. And I think, you know, back to your point about high school football and some things like that, you know, I think the tackling's changed. I think some of us, you see better athletes carrying the ball. You know, if we go back to tackling 20 years ago, everything was in a small box, confined box, and everybody only had to tackle within a 3-foot space, and the hole was pretty small. Now you're playing sideline to sideline. You get spread out. You got pretty good athletes carrying the football that can make you miss. So that's part of it as well. But, you know, we just got to keep teaching and focus on the fundamentals, and that's just getting our feet to contact, you know, being at the knees, eyes up, all those things.
This time of the year, bumps and bruises and all that good stuff happens with the team. And are you concerned with anybody that's in this game?
Yeah, I don't have many bumps and bruises this week, so I feel pretty good. You know, I think it is what it is. You play in a ball game, you're going to have bumps and bruises. You know, I think we came out of that game pretty healthy. You know, able to play a lot of players, and I think the max number of snaps was pretty low. So that does help in a game like that you kind of getting extra mileage out of some guys. And we try to do that, especially on the defensive side of the ball, substitute a lot. Offensively, been rotating more than we have in the past, especially in the line. So I think that's going to help us stay healthy throughout the season and keep pushing forward through there. And you know, you got to learn to play with bumps and bruises too. You know, there's a little bit of mental and physical toughness to that, of just fighting through it, and you're not always going to feel as good as you felt in the summer before you hit anybody or touched anybody. So some of that's just you got to learn to go with it, and so is the other team. So.
Seen Mike Wright in different spots in this
Yeah.
offense. Just how has he fit in his role 2 games in?
Mike Wright, I can't stop saying enough good things about him. I got to ask him, by the way, on the Pirate Walk. My wife's the one that pointed it out. It's one of my wife's favorite players, but just because of the person he is. But he was carrying his briefcase. I got to ask him what was in the briefcase. You know, so he had his game plan in there, or just his goals, or who knows what. But that's kind of where we're going to use Mike, is just all over the field, whether it be receiver, running back, quarterback. And I think he's a versatile athlete that can get out in space and make guys miss and make big things happen and make explosive plays happen. And we got to continue to clean some of the things up we're doing with him and make them execute. We had a few other things in there in that series going, and he throws an incomplete pass and never got to it. But we got to make sure we execute it at a high level so we can keep him on the field. And I think he can help us, move the ball down the field, get in the end zone, and create explosive plays for our offense.
On Saturday night, Cheston earned his first collegiate
Yeah.
snaps.
Yeah.
Obviously, he had the NFL caliber throw in the back shoulder fade at the touchdown. But how do you feel like he ran the offense just from a read standpoint and communicating to those guys for snap?
I was hoping he'd hand the ball off a little bit more, but I think he was just running the offense. As the head coach, when you're up in the game, it's the fourth quarter, you just want to see the ball get handed off and run the clock out and get out of there. But no, he was running our offense and doing exactly what he should do, and exactly what he's supposed to. And I think you see his style of play is more like Caton's style of play, and more what we're asking our offense to do, and does a pretty good job with it. He's got to keep pushing. We've got a long ways to go, but I think he has a chance to be a pretty good player down the road if he will keep working. If you can keep progressing.
Coach, I was going to ask just about the kicking situation too.
Yeah.
So Nick Mazie, the opener, and then Conrad Perez Saturday. So what exactly is this going on?
Yeah, I think we got really good competition in that room. I don't think it's a lack of, one guy's not doing the job or any of that. You got Nick and Noah and Andrew, all three pushing. I thought all three hit the ball really well. Last week, we kick on Tuesdays and kick on Thursdays. Tuesdays on the practice field, and thanks to Alex and JJ, we get to kick on the game field on Thursdays, and they hit it well out there as well. I think Nick's just maybe a little tired right now more than anything, and doesn't quite have the pop that he had early in preseason camp. So just trying to rest him a little bit. And I thought Andrew and Noah both hit it well and very deserving. So I didn't think it was, not giving us a chance to win or be successful. All three of them do that. And I just thought Andrew probably had the best week of them all last week, and Noah had a really good week as well. Maybe as good a week as, I told Noah this, as good a week as I've seen him have since he's been here. And then I think Nick's just a little bit, could be a little bit fatigued, and we got to do a job with recovery with him and getting him back, because he does have the leg to hit, 50-plus yard field goals. So that's going to be huge down the road, so we got to make sure we have him healthy. In the punting situation, just kind of continue on that. Ryan is our guy. He's going to be the starter and is a starter. And, we got in the second half there, and just a chance, opportunity. We started punting in the fourth quarter a few times for Thomas to get a few punts in. So that's the first time Thomas has punted in an American football game ever. So just happy for him. Hit the ball well. I think he hit one that actually rolled in the end zone, and it wasn't necessarily in the call. We wanted to be there to down it, but it happened to get out and get in the end zone on us. But I thought he hit it well, and it's good to get him some game experience there.
Any other questions for Coach?
Wouldn't be, I guess, another game day upcoming if you got to prepare for two quarterbacks. What's it like,
Yeah.
Day and Tab? What do you see from them on film, and what challenges that present?
Yeah, I think, you're always prepared for two. Sometimes it's prepared for the starter, and if we get to the backup, we get to the backup. But you really don't know what you're going to get this week for sure yet. You may not know the game time. It is what it is. We prepare our football team for both. I think MJ is certainly a guy that can take off on you. You see that's where he flashes. I mean, he's got some jets back there. He's got some speed. They have some quarterback run game with him. Tad looks like a guy that can run on you as well. He did pull the football the other night, but both have good arms and throw the ball down the field. Both were 4-star kids out of high school. There's a reason they were where they were. but I think you just got to prepare for them a little bit differently. You know, the offense didn't seem to change a whole lot when Tad was in the game. I thought, you know, they did have the lead and started running the football in the fourth quarter. They were doing a really good job with that. I don't know if that's who they want to be or that's just the situation of the game. I think MJ kind of was obviously the starter game one. And that's probably who won the job there in preseason camp. And I'm not sure if they're battling back and forth, that was just a spark for the other night. But we'll certainly be prepared for both. So should be an exciting night. Look forward to seeing everybody down in Conway. And go Pirates. Thanks.